Okay, we're gonna continue with the setup from yesterday, but I'm tempted to get sidetracked. So the claim, I was gonna stream this, and the claim was I can do this. That is not true. Chatterino is not in the FreeBSD ports tree. Apparently it was once upon a time, but there was briefly a period where Boost was updated and then Chatterino wouldn't build, and then I guess the package was unmaintained because it just by default got removed from the ports tree, even though they apparently fixed the Boost building option before um, before the automatic removal deadline. So I guess it was just unmaintained, abandoned. So Chatterino doesn't work, which had me looking at other Twitch chatbots, and it seems like there just aren't any. Chatterino just has the market on lock, I guess. Do they even build for Windows? They do, okay. So Twitch does have an IRC interface. I don't want to use it. They've deprecated it. They clearly don't want people to use it. Oh yeah, also it doesn't build. Or rather, it appears to be infinitely stalled on trying to build a dependency of the project, of which it has many, it seems. So it doesn't build. I can't install it. And I'm very tempted to get sidetracked by this project. Also, I don't know what this font is. Like the rendering of this font is so weird. Like the ascenders and like I don't know. It just doesn't look like it matches. Like look at the top of the P there. It's like under the R. I don't know. Anyway, and then yeah, and then the D's are like further down than the whatever. I don't like this font. Not the point. The point is, I'm very tempted to get distracted by trying to write a Twitch chat integration. Probably not worth doing. But we will revisit that question because I do want to do some UI programming because there's a couple of ideas of things that I want to implement that require a bit of UI work, and UI is one of the domains that I have the least experience in. And every time I do UI work, it's gross. Not just the UIs themselves, of which, yeah, I kind of make gross UIs when I've done it, but just the whole mechanism of how UI is created is very gross. Like, there's got to be a better paradigm. So I want to try out some paradigms, which brings us to what we're doing today, which is not getting distracted. It's setting up this machine. In particular, I want to look at this. Quickshell. I need a status bar, and it might as well be Quickshell because then we can dive into some QML and try out what that's like. But first, before we need to do this. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, well, it is what it is. We're getting rid of this. I don't like this. I don't know. The book. You know what? Oh no. I saw this. Here we go. What is this? This is Vim. Wait, that was it? That was the whole config file? All right. Probably don't care about fundamentals. New as a shell. Here we go. Buffer editor. Yeah, that's the thing I want to change for sure. Just cac. Will that do? No. Each time new shell starts, does that mean I have to restart it? Do I need to give it like an actual path? Also don't know about this font. That's something I might have to change with. Also, I think I have changed my mind. I was debating this last night. Hyper, yeah. Focus. Mouse, follow mouse. I think it's 1. Whoops. 1 is the behavior I want. Yeah. Okay. Oh my God. Okay. Jesus. All right. Okay. We'll do this, but we might not be happy about it. As long as I'm still getting input and output. Oh, that reminds me, I should yeah, I don't remember what the other setting was. Okay, let's try to stay on target. Env config buffer editor. Does it actually have to be path? Oh, it has to be like a string? Okay, that's better. All right. What else we got? Environment variables, maybe. Yeah, I do actually want to do this. Sure. I think there's nothing in there, but we will, we'll add it anyway. I'm just trying to debate whether I want to add this sort of stuff to my actual shell config or to my new shell config, because I already have some stuff in profile. It's up here. Like the editor, pager, like this sort of stuff. I'm wondering, I was going to say I'm wondering if I should put that in new shell, but the problem is that there's a lot of tools that explicitly are shell scripts, and they won't have the environment variables if I put them in here. It's not clear to me what the benefit of new shell is yet. I may end up just not using it in the long run, but the long run isn't here yet. I don't care about the prompts right now. Maybe later. Transient prompts, my dude. Oh, here we go. Surely I can make this a table. Okay, great. I mean, I don't know if that's great, but it'll do. Not really the goal of today. Let's just move on. Okay, Quickshell. You just get straight up dropped into this, hey? Mm-hmm. I don't like... Why? What did I do? Is it the sound server? Okay. What is going on? What is this? Do I not have it? What happened? Okay. Sure. Okay. You can now choose whether install by tracking master or later release. How did I lose? Like, what happened? I know I did an auto remove at some point, but I thought that just removed orphan packages that weren't manually installed. Yeah. How did that end up removing my web browser, which I manually installed? And also Hyperland was removed at some point? I had to reinstall that? Whatever. I don't know, man. We'll carry on. Okay, this is literally just installing. I know how to do that. If you want to write your own configuration, installing a QML grammar, probably not. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to do any of that. Okay. Okay. Good place to start. Each subfolder containing a shell.qml file is considered to be a config. If the base Quickshell folder contains a shell QML, subfolders will not be considered. Okay, well, here we are. Sure. Okay, so don't do that. Thanks for telling me, I guess. A panel for bars, widgets, and overlays. Floating window for standard with desktop widgets. Okay, we want panel window. We'll put that up here. We'll come back to that. Let's start with an example. All right, let's do it. So we import Quickshell, import qtquick. Sure. So panel window anchors. Top, yeah, we'll anchor to the top. We'll anchor left. We'll anchor right. Implicit height. No, don't know what that means, but we'll look at panel window later. We'll just type this out for now. And then we want some text. Anchors.center in parent. Okay. All right, so we'll get a hello world bar. That's fine. Okay, so we should be able to run this, I think. We should just be able to quick shell. Yeah, so that's panel window. We'll get to that. Let's start with this. Okay. So we're good so far. There's our panel and there's our text in the center. All right, makes sense. Let's run a process. Process, this is a quick shell type, okay. A standard IO collector, also a quick shell type. We'll listen to the signal. I actually don't like this part of Qt, the signals and slots. Okay. But this is a quick shell thing with a single handler. So this isn't QML to update the clock. All right, so we'll do this, then we might jump to the QML language and take a look through that. All right, so let's do this example. This probably can be a lot shorter. Okay, we need this. So we have our anchors. We have implicit height, whatever that is. Okay, so we have more text. ID clock. Does this have a opt file type? No. Okay. We'll give it the same anchor. All right, and now we have instead a process which runs a command. Running. Okay, this is at startup. All right, understood. A standard IO collector. On stream finished. All right, this must be our slots. Clock.text. Ah, because the text is empty. I see. Equals this.text. And this is like a JavaScript type language. QML is like roughly JavaScript-ish, I think. All right, let's try that. Okay. And that happens once, so that's not refireable. Can we... We'll have to come back to anchors. What is this? Oh, examples, okay. Ah, here we go. So we have our process. Then we have a timer. Ah, interesting. Okay, but we need to give it an ID to reference it. All right. I wonder where that ID is actually... Like, I wonder if it creates a runtime database of, like, I don't know, pointers, I guess. Or if when this little script is compiled, I don't know if they're compiled, I presume so, because, I don't know, does Qt have a JavaScript runtime in it? Maybe it does. We'll have to take a look at QML, Qt, to see how this actually works. Yes, so let's have the timer as well. So interval every second running true, repeat is true, and then on triggered, which is I guess another slot stake prot. Interesting, it doesn't take any parameters. Okay. So a couple of things I want to do. Change this. We'll look at the docs first. I wonder what the comment is. Oh, it's a bunch of examples over here. Change to be right anchored. And then change to be formatted. And then what I wonder is, that's more complex. I was going to say what I wonder is if we can run it on the second instead of every second. But that's a little more complex to pull off. So we won't. Okay, but this makes sense. Yeah. Variants. Okay. Non-widget items. Uh-huh. Variants will inject the values in the data model into each new component's model data property. Okay. We can easily pass each screen to its own component. See QS Windows screens. This is Quickshell. Variants. We'll type it out. So panel windows here. Model data property. I see. Okay, well, we might have to look at the QML reference pretty soon. It's not clear why all this shit is needed. Error, this code will not work correctly. Great. When the window is created multiple times, what about the clock that the process references? Oh, that's an interesting question. Clock.text. Wait, where is the clock? Oh, it's up here. So it's not in the hierarchy anymore. And so now it can't see it. Okay, so this is lexically scoped identifiers. Okay. Components can be created any number of times. Ah, I see. That makes sense. We can define a property inside of the shell root and reference it from the clock text instead. The clock text will be updated when we update the property for every clock that currently exists. Does it still have variants? Yeah, it does. All right, so we're going to type out this one. Okay, so let's make a scope. What is the scope? Can I click on this? We'll type this out. We'll keep following this tutorial. I think I've decided I want to get to the end of this tutorial before reading this. But okay, so let's define a scope, which has an ID of root, a property string time. So I guess these properties can be referenced, because I guess they're like slots, or I can't remember. It's been a while since I've looked into Qt's internals, but I guess these things are exposed. And then we have variants. The model means something. Quickshell.screens. Can I click this? Each non-duplicate value passed to model will create a new instance of delegate with a model data property set to that value. All currently connected screens. Oh, this is okay, understood. This is not like a type. This is an actual variable. Okay, so we have a model and then a delegate. We want to be a component, which we need now for some reason. Oh, this is Qt now. Encapsulates a QML component definition. Why isn't every QML type a component? Like, I don't quite understand. A component type essentially allows QML components to be defined inline within a QML document rather than as a separate QML file. Okay. Okay, we'll come back to this. We'll come back to this. So whatever, a component is a thing, sure. Wait, is a scope anything? Convenience type. Equivalent to setting reloadable ID for children. This does not work for all visible items. Try to match a reloadable object to its previous state. Okay. We'll come back to that. All right. And then in here, we have our panel window. Required property var model data. This is a var for some reason. It's also required. This one isn't. I guess that means it can be null, I guess. So we have screen, which gets the value of model data. Shouldn't be this the list of all screens? And then we anchor it. We'll anchor it as before. We'll take the implicit height. Put that up here. And then we need the text in the panel window. Anchors center in parent text root.time. Okay. Is running a property? I guess so. Let's just get rid of that. So this is the variant, and that should close the scope. Okay. And so every we'll have to keep going. We don't have enough information yet to fully decode this. Is that the variant? That's the variant. Okay. And then we also, within this same lexical scope, I guess you might call it, have this process which actually does the running of date. Running true, standard out, standard IO collector. On stream finished, root time equals this.text. Yeah, so we update the root time. Now the question is, I guess the way that it works is, I wonder if this happens during compile time or not. But this is the, what do you call it? It's not delegated, it's declarative UI type shit, right? Where we have a property here, and then the rendering system knows that whenever this updates, this also has to update. So it's not purely imperative in the sense that, I mean, this one looks pretty imperative because there's not a lot going on here. But it's not purely imperative in that we have a command that says change the text here. We just update some property, which then gets reflected down here. Is my understanding. That may not be true, but that's my understanding. Date proc. I have questions. These two don't share the same. I wonder what scope does that's special that makes this shit known. No, it doesn't just make this shit known. That's not true. It makes this known to this. I wonder what the special thing that scope does, which makes that work. Oh, fuck. Oh, it's anchors. Okay. Great. Alright, brilliant news. Let's keep going. Components can be defined implicitly. Yeah, it's actually not clear to me why that needed to exist at all in the first place. If variance.delegate is a default property, we're already using the default property. Oh no, variance.delegate is a default property. Ah, I see. We're already using the default property of shell root to store our variance process timer components. Well, I guess that's the magic. The default property is the magic that makes these all able to reference each other. But we're not actually using shell root. It's just scope. How do I know what a default property is? Children list. Okay. Default. Okay. Why doesn't it work for visible items though? Okay, that's... I still have a lot of questions, but we'll carry on. Okay, so we can get rid of this. We can do this and get rid of that, is I think how I read this. Yeah, good stuff. All right. Oh, I see. That's how you define components. You put them in a subdirectory. No, not true. Wait, maybe true? bar.qml. I see. I don't know how I feel about that. In fact, I do know how I feel about that. I don't like it. I don't like it when programming languages force me to use file system conventions. The only time where I begrudgingly accept it is certain types of module system requirements. Like, if this was import bar and then I got access to bar, I would begrudgingly accept bar having to be a secondary file. But it's not import bar. It's just the fact that this exists defines this. Like, I should be able to go bar equals scope here to create this component called bar. Why didn't we need component? I already forgot. They're defined implicitly. Yeah, so I'm only going to do the bar. I'm not going to do all this other shit that Quickshell supports, or at least I don't intend on it. So I'm not going to put the bar in a different file. My root shell will be the bar, so we're not going to do this. We bring in other folders as well. No, we'll get to that in a moment. We can move the clock widget to a new file. I don't want to do that. Didn't... Hang on. Okay, I'm really gonna have to get to that QML language reference soon. So this like links this guy up to this guy, I guess? Is that what properties do? You can link them in this way? No, that's not true. Or is it? I think properties are just... Okay, let's not guess. We'll keep reading. Time.qml. I don't see how that's better, but whatever. We can make time a singleton. Pragma singleton. And it's accessible from any scope, okay. We no longer need time as an input. We directly access it. Yeah, makes sense. I'm just gonna have one big file though, so, so I don't think any of this matters to me, but that's good to know. This is Quickshell, okay. Yeah. Okay, we can update that. But I don't want to process anymore. Do I? Qt format date. But that's format date from the clock. So I think we just want to change this, right? System clock. Oh, I see. They're using yeah, they're using one of these guys. And we can change the precision. So this has its own timer. It just says Qt objects, which is fine because it could internally, and it looks like it does. Okay, it looks like it has its own update logic. So we probably don't need this process, right? No, we don't need this timer. What do we actually need here? I think, okay, so system time I think replaces both the process and the clock. So we should be able to go, the process and the timer. So we should be able to go system clock, ID is clock, precision, system clock, we'll start with seconds. And then we should be able to... It's not in the singleton. That's the only reason I'm pausing. Can I make this read-only as well? So that no one can update it. So we don't need this. And then its value, yeah, it'll just update whenever the, yeah, I think this is fine. Qt format date time. Do I even need it here? Why did I need it here previously? Why couldn't I, let's go back a little. Like, why couldn't this guy reference this? Oh, because it doesn't exist. Also doesn't have an ID. Let's bring this guy back. This is a weird ass format. Don't need this to be a singleton, I think. And it's updating. Okay, so the system clock is a Qt object that has its own, I guess, well, it's not really processed because it probably just uses C++ functions rather than calling out to date. But it's got its own way of synchronizing its clock or whatever. Its variance is still not super clear to me. Like, I understand how this works, but can I not give this an ID? I guess not, because there can be multiple variants. It's also not clear to me why I can't just have a property that directly depends on this. Like, I don't really get why I need the variant. But we're at the end of this thing, which means it's time to look at the QML reference. Oh, this makes a new one. Yeah, no, I get it. I get it. So this makes a new, for every single Quickshell screen, this makes a new panel window, which is why I can't just give it an ID, because it wouldn't be unique. So it needs to depend on something that is unique, which in this case is this time property. Okay, I get it. Okay, so item is what visual things inherit. Okay. Which means that model should be, yeah, a list of variants, yeah. Okay, that makes sense. All right, let's go read this language reference. Oh boy. We'll put that guy up there. Semicolons are permitted basically everywhere. Well, that was a fucking lie. I think they're permitted basically nowhere. Okay, that one worked. While types can often be elided, I don't see a single type here, unless you count the type of, I think that's more of a constructor, but I guess it's also a type. Like, oh, string, here's a type. This one's just var. Oh, is that the type? Is it any? Untyped? Because that would make sense. Actually, would it? Because this has to be typed, right? But maybe model data itself needs to be untyped and it gets cast, whatever. Let's keep going. All right, we got a 6.0 here. Gross. Is this valid JavaScript? Is import valid JavaScript? I have no idea. Property binding. Property binding. Okay, can I give this a type? Like, I don't see any types here. Like this one, this guy has a type. Where are the types? Can I just include them? Like, if I just don't have the word property, it's a property? Because this is declaration, but it still has a bind. But this one's a binding. This one's a property binding. This is the only guy that's called a declaration. Okay, default properties. Understood. A signal. Yeah, we got signals. Signal declaration. Signal handler. This guy doesn't have a definition, but this guy does. Property change signal handler. Signal handler. Property change signal handler. Is that just because it references this property? Are these compiled? How is this? Like, how do they know? QML has to be compiled, right? Maybe? Or maybe this is a thunk. No, that doesn't make sense. Because you need to... I guess if you... Yeah, no, I guess that does make sense. If you ran this definition, not the function, if you ran the definition... No, that doesn't make sense. That's almost the same thing as compiling. Okay, we'll move on. Dub. Big dub. Component uncompleted. Attached property single handler. Signal handler. Single handler. Relatable. Component uncompleted. Is component a thing here? No. I'm confused. Attached to what though? Like the default definition of component? Surely not. Okay. Import module measure minor as namespace. Yep. Ah. A Quickshell module import looks like this. Yeah, we'll come back to that if we need it. I'm not going to internalize that. Oh, big L. Okay, so QML does this. Uh-huh. The name of an object must start with an uppercase letter. This will always distinguish an object from a property. Okay. Objects are instances of a type. An object looks like this. Okay, we'll come to these later on in the document. All right, understood. Every object may have any number of property assignments with an S maybe, with only one assignment per specific property. Each assignment binds the named property to the given value or expression. Property bindings. Expressions are snippets of JavaScript code assigned to a property. The last line can serve as the return value. Alternatively, an explicit return statement can be used for multi-line expressions. Okay, so we have an implicit this, apparently. I'm confused. How do you... Why... How is any of this used? They don't have names. Well, this update machinery, but like, how do you use it? There's no name. All property bindings are reactive. That's okay. Later in this file. All right, we'll come to that. Whenever any property of the expression depends on the expression is reevaluated. Yeah, that's what I presumed. Properties can be defined inside of objects. Okay. I don't think that's true. I don't think it's just objects. I think you can do it inside of types as well. Anyway. Forces users of this type to assign this property. Of this type. Objects. Yeah. So you can do it inside types as well. See, creating types for details. Yeah, that's later. We'll get to that. Or maybe creating types has some wisdom that'll make this clearer. Makes the property not assignable. Its binding will still be reactive. Okay. Default property. Nice. Yeah, type and name are not optional. So what's this? I don't know about this example. Also references a property that doesn't exist. You can use var if you don't know or don't care, but be aware var will allow any value type. All right. And we got the binding. Okay. The word property is not... So what is this? Is that a parameter of panel window? Are we subclassing panel window? And these are the panel window parameters? But this is a new one that we're adding to this. I guess that is true because this is a component, right? Defined implicitly. So I guess these are parameters of system clock. That makes sense. This is a parameter of variant. I guess that makes sense. So this is not a panel window. It's a new component because we define components implicitly. So it's a new component which includes a panel window. I need to think about this a little bit more because why is this inside the panel window? I would kind of expect it to be inside the component. We'll come back to this. Defining a property with the same name as the one provided by the current object. Current object, I guess that's this, will override the property of the type it is derived from. I'm going to assume this means the thing that you would think it obviously means, and not that it overwrites it for all instances of that type. Trying to assign to a property that doesn't exist is an error. Okay. Types can have a default property which must accept either an object or a list of objects. Understood. Understood. Every object has a special property called ID. Okay, ID special. Throughout the current file? Oh, that's... I don't know about that description. Is that true? Throughout the current file. I was kind of expecting something like scope. I don't know. I'll have to consider this. Well, we'll let that simmer. We'll let it cook. It's not really a property, and it doesn't do anything other than expose the object to the current file. Okay, we got file again. It is only called a property because it uses a very similar syntax. I wonder if ID is Qt or if it's Quickshell. It seems like it would have to be a Qt thing or a QML thing, not a Quickshell thing. I can't imagine it being Quickshell because the QML compiler or whatever has to understand it. Properties are in scope and usable in two cases. They're defined for the current type. They're defined for the root type in the current file. That's our scope. So it's not parent types, it's the root type. Or make sure the property you are accessing is from the current object using this. Okay. But may not always point to what it looks like it should. Use ID if parent doesn't do what you want. Mid. Property inner, text inner is legal, text this inner is legal, text width. Oh, it's defined for text. Root definition, legal, it's defined on the root. Illegal, it's not defined on the root or the current. Why would that be true? I mean, it's apparently true, but why would this restriction be in place? Well, for whatever reason, it is. And we will live with it. Because we can just do whatever. Actually, this might be an interesting detour. Is that true? That QML respects JavaScript normal scoping rules applies even in bindings. This totally evil abomination of a binding will assign 12 to the QML object's A property. Okay. So this binds this with this value. Okay. Every JavaScript expression, function, or file in QML has its own unique variable object. Local variables declared in one will never conflict with local variables declared in another. QML documents may import statements that define the type. An object which is a property binding. This is a lot of text to write. Component scope. Yeah, each QML component in a QML document defines a logical scope. The component scope is a union of all object IDs within the component and the component's root object's properties. Component instances connect their component scopes together to form a scope hierarchy. Holy shit, how many words do we need about scope? What the fuck? ID values are only valid within the same document. Okay, so whatever a document is a thing. A QML document is a string which conforms to QML document syntax. A document defines a QML object. Okay, so, alright, files are privileged. Noted. That's what I'm going to take from this. That's what I choose to take. An overcomplicated click counter using a lambda callback. A signal is an event emitter you can connect to and receive updates from. I'm going to need to take a little break. Just debating if I'm going to push through this or not. I think the answer is no. I think I'm going to take a little break and then come back and pick up on signals. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do.